Hi everyone, I hope you're well. This is CoinsKid, just going to XRP. Once again, thank you for support, okay? Be the CoinsKid crew, so please get involved in the Discord and obviously Twitter as well, because when I'm away, I do post updates regularly as and when I see them. And on Friday, we did see another uptick in the LD, and the last time we saw the uptick in the LD led to a dump. So the LD is a really important indicator to create for yourselves. It's an inverse correlation to risk on, risk off, and what it does, whenever you see an LD pump, it means liquidity is being withdrawn, and whenever you start to see it dump, it means liquidity is being put back into the market. It really is that simple. Peaks and troughs, okay, and we trade inversely correlated to that. So way back when in early October, I was anticipating a dump, to be honest with you, and we got exactly that. You know, we got the LD spiking, there's confluence, we got the Bitcoin above 70, we got the Tether dominance below 30. That is not where you're buying. I did relay this to you, why you're buying that right now, because across the board we're quite overextended, and we're just seeing things retrace that big move from July. And so far so good. We've come down. Some things have lost it, something hasn't. But right now, I think everyone's a little bit fearful. The market is still a little bit indecisive as current, future direction. But what we've got to do is just kick back, relax, and wait for more data to appear. One of the key data points I'm looking at to jump up and down and say, okay, this is it, it's over. Let's project lower and let's buy back lower for XRP is really simple. And I'll show you exactly what it is in the charts, okay? But whenever I see a big spike up like that, I am a little bit concerned, and it is something that I did relay to you for the CoinsKid crew on Friday. I did relay to the CoinsKid crew, please be careful here. I see a mild weekend pump, and then I see a start of the week dump, and I did tweet that out to the CoinsKid crew in the Discord and obviously Twitter as well. So the data is key, okay, and this is why I created these indicators for you. So whenever you see the inverse, basically this is dumping, Bitcoin's dumping, and Tether's pumping, that's the time to buy. And yesterday we were getting them particular metrics add up. So let me show you right now, okay? So please follow me on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I do post stuff out randomly, just try and keep people updated as best as I can. We've got insight data here. We've got short opportunities over the weekend, which I was looking at with the CoinsKid crew. One of the reasons, obviously, is that LD was spiking on the Friday. I was looking at short opportunities, not necessarily, jumping into aping into any longs. I was looking at shorts on these three coins that are red blocks. That are jumping out the page, and they've come down, so it's been beautiful. But going forward, I will keep you updated as best I can on X and Twitter, and obviously in Discord as well. Now look at this, the good old days. Look how far crypto has come. As the market begins to mature, I expect to see less and less of a pullback for Bitcoin and the top dog crew in the macro corrections. It's almost as if institutions are absorbing the supply from veteran BTC holders. Lots of altcoins come and go, but always pay attention to the ones that have stuck around. Ethereum, BNB, XRP are in the top dogs crew. I do miss the good old days though. I mean, look at these prices. Okay, look at Bitcoin at $65, Ethereum at 42 cents, BNB at 9 cents, XRP, and you know where all of those are right now. I think Ethereum's below 4K right now, 3.5K. You got BNB tapping that 1K level, XRP obviously above that $2 level right now, Bitcoin above 100K. Look how far they've come, okay? So obviously things go up, things come down, riding the waves, but I just want to remind you of where everything's come from. So going forward, I'll keep you updated as best I can, but one thing I did tweet out to the CoinsKid crew on Friday, the LD can't catch a break, liquidity has been withdrawn from the market. My expectation, a mild weekend pump into the start of a weekend dump. Really simple, we saw a massive uptick on the LD again, but Bitcoin was quite oversold at that particular index coming in. But for me, this is why I anticipate some kind of weekend pump into the weekend dump, because the LD works Monday to Friday, and I've taught you this, okay? We don't get that data come in over the weekend. So what happens over the weekend, just don't pay too much attention to it. So it's all about week to week for me, Monday to Friday, okay? If something happens at the weekend, I kick back and I don't really respect it, whether or not it's a pump, dump, whatever. So this is why I think your key data trading timeframes are Monday to Friday, and this is why you don't necessarily see me make videos over the weekend, because it's just rubbish. Basically it's just low trading volume, shakeouts, fake outs, breakouts, whatever. I don't really pay too much attention to it. But come Monday, obviously the data's kicked in, and we have seen the LD tell us, okay, you're going to get your dump, and come Monday we've got that dump. But at the current time frame when that index kicked in, BTC was quite oversold. It was pushing towards 30, so this is why I anticipate some kind of little pump up before we get the dump. And exactly what happened yesterday, we got a nice start of the week dump, which was anticipated on this channel. So, yesterday we did get a nice little report coming on the LD. Not instantly we've seen this, but what we've got is, I did relay to the CoinsKid crew, I'm buying, wish me luck. We saw the LD spike down, which is obviously positive because it means that liquidity is coming back into the market. And obviously BTC was getting quite oversold towards 30, and Tether dominance getting quite overboard towards 70. And right now we're seeing a little bit of uptick in the markets. Now there's one key category that's really playing out right now. It's the hot flavor of the month category in crypto, and I'll show you exactly the coins in the category that I'm targeting. And I've actually bought some of these coins, and when I said I'm buying, these are the coins that I'm actually buying. Okay, I'm going to show you why. Let's dive into the privacy coin index on CoinsKid.com to see what we can see. Okay, so looking at the top 10, one thing we've got to respect in this market is the fact that the top 10 have done incredibly well. You know, these coins here, you know, the top dogs that I relayed to you earlier in the video, your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, your XRP, your BNB. You know, recent times Solana's come into the play, and Tron as well is doing really well. But, you know, these coins here have all done really well. So right now we're seeing some kind of rotation. Rotational top, perhaps, potentially, you know, it's altcoins, and obviously as a category which is on fire, which is your privacy coins. So we'll look at those in a moment. But, you know, we've had a fantastic time in these coins, you know, and I remember relaying the buying opportunities to you in each of those coins: Ethereum, XRP, BNB, Solana, Tron, Bitcoin. You know, even in recent times, BNB. For anyone that's been paying attention to the channel, I had to make a really important post here in late 2023. I'm buying BNB here because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, and from here I anticipate it'll pump into roughly 1k, which is where I'll sell, and I did exactly that. Okay, so whether or not this, you know, pulls back and breaks out and burns me on my ass, time will tell. But I've made a good bit of money on this purchase, and again, this is where I buy these coins. Oversold on the RSI, MACD on the zero line, 5 waves down. Okay, beautiful. So that was just a buying opportunity. Again, XRP, you know, I was relaying this to you way back when. We've had many buying opportunities in this market for anyone that's been paying attention. We've got the 5 waves down there, the 5 waves down there, the 5 waves down there. You know, we've been buying all this. Blood, fear and depression, RSI on the floor, MACD on the zero line. We've been buying these opportunities. So again, stay tuned, because I think we'll have more buying opportunities for XRP further down the line. Really simple. If we zoom out on the monthly time frame for XRP, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see what's going on here. You know, you basically ran up into the previous all-time high, and you're currently holding support the previous pivot high, which was that summer high, I think in 2023 when we ramped up. So essentially, you've come up and you went sideways. So obviously, if we break down and close below this support, it's not good luck. You've got in a deeper correction. But if we consolidate in a range, which is pretty much what we've been doing for an entire year, we hold support, we could be good to go again against all odds and expectations. But in the meantime, whilst this consolidates and goes sideways, we are seeing a little bit of rotation currently, you know, from these coins into a particular section, which is your privacy coins. So if we take a look at the privacy coins on CoinsKid.com, and to get that, just go to the macro zones, privacy coins. You can clearly see in the last 7 days, look at the pumps. Okay, so we're seeing quite nice moves. So for Dash right now, your red bar on the macro is beginning to fill. Decred, your red bar on the macro is beginning to fill. So where the opportunity is, really simple. Look at coins on the macro that have not got the red bar filled. Okay, with obviously 5 waves down and obviously a bullish divergence on the macro time frame. If you see that, I think you've got a little opportunity on them coins. One of the coins I'm looking at right now as a potential scenario is SCRT, Secret. And the reason is, I don't necessarily think this is going to, you know, break out and make all-time highs or whatever, but we're seeing something right now. If we take a look at previous cycle, we are seeing multiple bullish divergence build up here, okay, and we're beginning to get a little bit of momentum kick into this chart, where we're coming off this bullish divergence into the mid-range, which is your 50 level. If we move to the left, in the previous cycle, we've got a top just there in 2017. So if I drop a horizontal line on just there, you can clearly see this is basically a weekly time frame. You've got support, melted through that support in a god candle. See that? Flushed all the way down. Oh no, it's going to zero. Then eventually you had a beautiful move from oversold conditions down here on the RSI. You began to break back up. Where did you find resistance? God candle back test. Got rejected, came back down, made the higher low, held the mid-range, and then broke back out. Okay, so at this point in, I think it was late 2021, when you come for this whopping ABC zigzag correction, and ever since it's just tailed off, no one wants to know about it, but you are creating multiple bullish divergence down there. And equally right now we are below the zero line on the MACD, equally bullish divergence, as this thing begins to fall lower. So if this thing does begin to break back up, where could it go to? So again, I'm looking to buy some of this, okay, and just because I'm looking to buy it doesn't mean you have to buy it. You don't have to copy me, but these are the opportunities that I like to find in the channel. You know, minimal risk basically. So you won't see me buying things that are top heavy, you know, big green candles, because like I've taught you, get big red dildos. I like to look for reasons to buy when things are in the floor. So I think we've got a level of resistance just here, where we've got a double top drop like this. So this coming down, boom, 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 coming down. And it could even fall further. This is why I won't, you know, go all in with life savings. I'll just buy some of this and forget about it on spot and just leave it, because eventually I think this will see 32,740. And then if we move to the left, we've got a whopping God candle backtest that's sitting in wait in this chart. Now whether or not it gets there, I don't know, but if it does, because the the privacy section is absolutely blowing up and we see just a little bit of rotation into this particular project, this could easily do this, because at the moment I think this is around about 60 million market cap, and it doesn't take that much money to move it to these levels. So I'll be looking at this level here, pretty much like this, came down, broke back into this God candle back test of the previous cycle, then got rejected. This again is coming back down. If it breaks up into this God candle back test, basically a triple top, lower highs into support, breakdown. If it starts to come up, I'm looking at $3.66,419 from, what is it right now, 19 cents. So this could pump quite significantly for no reason whatsoever, just because the hot flavor of the month is privacy coins. Really simple. So I take a little punt on this. You don't have to follow me, okay? This is just me and logic, and the reasons why I buy things on this channel is because of situations like this. So if you look at this, you can get on Bybit, Mexi, Blowfin, BingX, BitGet, all the links in the video description right there. Again, you don't have to follow me. Nothing I say is financial advice, but for me, I take a little punt on this and just buy a little bit of spot, forget about it, won't look at the charts. It could have another little flash crash, a little spring or whatever. But this bullish divergence building up, I like to see that as well as confidence to my purchases. So let's dive into the XRP chart right now. That is SCRT. Secret, I think it's called. Let's dive into XRP chart, see what we can see. Okay, so looking at XRP in a monthly time frame, I've had a $27 target for a very long time, and I've always taught you that providing you hold the low from which you've come, then that target remains the same. So that has always been my target, $27, and I think slowly but surely I think we get there for XRP, and I'm looking for the invalidation, and I don't necessarily see it. I think one thing that could begin to invalidate it, obviously, if we begin to make lower lows from this point, because currently, from the point in which my calculation of a $27 target has come for XRP, we are making higher lows from that point. So one of the key things I'm looking at, if we do begin to break down, make lower lows, okay, you begin to negate that potential target further down the line. So like I've taught you, the road to $27. So we've come up really simply, we have had a correction at the all-time high, so we come up into it and we find a resistance at that particular resistance, which is normal, okay? But where are we finding support? Currently, we're finding support on the previous pivot high, which is that move up in April of 2021. So you're holding it support. You've had a wick down into the top of the monthly CoinsKid ribbon, and you've had a nice wick of support. So you've got quite a big, supportive candle just there for XRP. If you look on the monthly time frame, your big wick, there was one just there, there's one just there, little one just there. This one obviously was basically a bull trap. It came up and it lost the ribbon and come all the way down. So if it does do something like that again, where would be the buying opportunity for XRP? So I'm looking for more data, I'm looking for more clues. At the minute, I think what we've done, we've come up, we've gone sideways at the all-time high, we've gone sideways in the range on the previous pivot high of that previous impulse, which was just spring of 2021, and we're holding its support. If we break down below, then okay, we've got to look at a buying opportunity. Where would the buying opportunity be? Really simple. We can look at the monthly RSI. Every 2 years, this is 2020, this is 2022, this is 2024, and right now, if we was to begin to drop into 2026 and we don't get this move up, against odds and expectations, then and we start to drop, we could be looking at another high low in 2026. But where could it get to? So I don't necessarily think it's going to get there, with an absolute certainty. But what I'll be looking at to do, if we do start to see XRP come down to the monthly RSI at 43.90. I'm all in again, okay, because this is exactly where it came down to in 2020. This is exactly where it came down to in 2022. Didn't quite get down there in this consolidation event that went sideways like that in 2024. But if it does, begin to roll over and starts to make lower lows and lower highs, all eyes on the 43.9 level in the monthly RSI, because I'll just buy again there. And it could absolutely just be a clue that it's about to do that, because from there, it is still high lows, isn't it? So if XRP begins to break down, loses its pivot high at roughly $1.96, starts to break down below that and see closes back inside the ribbon on the monthly time frame, just like you did there, I'll be projecting for this buy zone, where it was a buy zone there and a buy zone there. Okay, so that is just a future projection, the potential scenario. What could the price be? Honestly, don't know. It could simply be a back test of this high where you've had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 setup. You're looking at something like that, because technically I don't think we've seen 5 waves off this low, which has been my primary for a very long time. I think we've seen a 1 into a 2 into a 3 into a pullback 4 into a final 5th. So that is still my primary anticipation for XRP. I think we're missing a 5th wave. A lot of people say I'm too bullish or whatever, but I just respectfully, I think we've not seen the 5th wave. I don't necessarily think that is it. I think that's actually a bull trap. And the reason is because of the Tether dominance, okay? And I'll go through this with you if as I can. So far, my target to $27 is still actually on the table, okay, because from this pivot point here, this bear market low, which is your corona dump, you've come up impulsively, correctively, and you're still making higher highs and higher lows. So that the projection, although obviously at the moment it's horrible and it's nasty, is the fact that XRP is actually in a whopping uptrend and nothing's changed. So on the macro, it's still, for me, buy the dips, ready for the rips. So I'll still play the accumulation game here for XRP. So there's a saying, isn't there? Time in the market beats time in the market, and that's essentially what I'm trying to relay here. Don't necessarily time bottoms, and those people that pick bottoms get smelly fingers, please remember that. But if I do see blood, despair and depression in this chart, on the weekly, on the daily, I do accumulate more XRP. I've been for many years because, providing we hold this level of support just here, my target is up here. So, essentially what we've got is some kind of ascending triangle here. 3 points of resistance, breakout, hold to support. This could coil up. Everyone's getting really, really bearish, but you've been in consolidation range for over a year, hold support, and then you break out to the upside, which is still my primary anticipation. But if it gets nasty and we begin to break below this support, close below 195 on the monthly and start to break down below the the ribbon, I'm going to keep an eye on the RSI, because this is exactly where we bounce there and exactly where we bounce there, and I'll just basically buy as much XRP as I can if that happens again in time. So let's zoom in on the lower time frames right now and see what we can see for XRP. But macro for me is still relatively bullish, although obviously it doesn't feel like it. Let's look at the weekly, see what that's telling us. Okay, so looking at XRP on the weekly time frame, really simple in layman's terms. Like I said to you at this point here, I anticipate a break, a beautiful vertical. We got exactly that. But when we come up, a lot of people got incredibly bullish just there. We got the the retail top that triggered. Okay, we got a macro correction coming in. And we've seen exactly that, and I relay that to you. So a lot of exuberance this time last year at that particular time frame where XRP, everyone thought it'd break out, but I did say to you, I think we'll go sideways on the previous resistance and the support of the previous pivot high just there, and pretty much we've been doing that for literally a year. So I apologize about the duration of this consolidation, but this is exactly what I think it is right now for XRP. I think we're just consolidating a range on this pivot point between resistance and support. Obviously if we break down, it's a longer, deeper consolidation than I actually anticipate, but I think there may be a clue to this particular scenario being exactly what it is with the Tether dominance. Okay, so if we drop the Tether dominance in, you can clearly see at this point here, this is your pivot point of the low in the Tether dominance, which was basically your top for XRP. So this thing trended back up, and XRP trended back up as well. With that, I think we saw a bull trap in XRP. I would have been more inclined to say, okay, that's a bullish move for XRP if we'd have seen the Tether dominance drop. But this is one of the confluencing factors at this point. I said to you, I think we'll come back in, and this is basically coming back up. So once this bottomed for XRP, this topped. So in recent times, this has come back down and made a higher low to that pivot point, but XRP has made another higher high. So I think that, the confluences in the Tether dominance of what we're seeing, this is actually a bull trap move. It's part of a correction, which means that this move right now is the end of the correction, not necessarily the beginning of the bear market. Because if this was an impulsive move, then this would have been a breakdown move below that pivot low to lose its support, basically. The increased probability, okay, that's impulsive, not necessarily corrective. So actually for XRP, is, in my opinion, been in a consolidation since late last year. So if we look at the previous consolidation for XRP, and I relay this to the CoinsKid crew, this was an impulse into July of 2023. This was the bottom of the correction a year later in 2024. So is it a case that we've peaked in December 2024 and we're having a year-long correction like that for XRP? So all of this right now is actually the end of the correction coming into the market, not necessarily the beginning of a bear market where we saw a 1 into a 2 into a 3 into a 4 into a final fifth wave for XRP in 2026 against all odds and expectations. So it has a chance, okay, and again, nothing I say is financial advice, but it is a potential scenario. So at the minute, I'm not completely ultra bear mode, which is what a lot of people are doing, because if we'd have seen a sharp pullback for XRP at the top of an impulse, I'd be a little bit more inclined to say bear market. But what I think we've got as a potential scenario, I think we've ramped up, consolidating a range. We've got the Tether dominance, which is giving us a clue to that fact that that's a bull trap and that's a bull trap. And right now we're just looking for one thing in the Tether dominance to get incredibly bullish on crypto. And I'll show you exactly what that is. For the Tether dominance, what we're looking for, if this is consolidation for Tether and equally XRP, then this is consolidating a range, and equally the Tether dominance is consolidating a range of some kind of triangle that we're looking to break down. If a Tether dominance begins to break back up and takes out that pivot high, then obviously XRP is in a world of trouble. At that point we're getting a clue in the Tether dominance that it's breaking bull and XRP is breaking bear. But I think there's a chance, there's some kind of triangle here for the Tether dominance that's going sideways in a range, and this is consolidating a range as well. So technically, if this breaks down and loses support of this, a selling of support, this could break bull, okay, as an inverse correlation. So I think that, Tether dominance, pay attention to it over the next few weeks. It's a very important chart to keep an eye on. Open standard update. If you're looking to get involved in the VIP, definitely get involved. The link's in the video description. Good luck with that trade. And at the minute, I think the privacy coin section is absolutely taking up, absorbing some of the, the liquidity in this market. Take care, everyone. Back to a new update on XRP. Bye bye.